The GPS died an hour ago. That's when I should have known something was wrong. Out here on this forgotten stretch of Route 66, my phone was nothing more than a glass and metal brick. The car's fuel light had been blinking angrily for the last 20 miles. A tiny, insistent orange star in the oppressive darkness. My anxiety was a tight knot in my stomach. Then, like a mirage in the desert, I saw it. A single, glowing sign. Gas. The relief was so immense, I almost cried. It was a classic, retro-style station. The kind you see in old movies. A single pump stood under a weathered canopy, its paint peeling. The sign above the small convenience store read, "Next stop," in faded neon, buzzing softly in the dead quiet of the night. The price on the board was impossibly low, a number I hadn't seen since I was a kid. As Primera pulled in my car's engine, sputtering its final warning, I glanced at the glowing dashboard clock. Las 2:17 Alto M. The place seemed frozen in time. A vintage pickup truck was parked by the air pump, its chrome glinting under the fluorescent lights. A family, a mom, a dad, and 2 kids, were milling around a station wagon. The kind with wood paneling on the sides. They looked like they'd just stepped out of a 1970s family photo. The dad was staring intently at a map spread across the hood, while the mom tried to corral the 2 restless children. I killed the engine, and the silence that followed was absolute. No crickets, no wind, just a low hum from the station's lights. I got out, the gravel crunching under my shoes. "Hey!" I called out to the family. "Weird night, huh?" They didn't respond. The dad kept tracing a line on the map with his finger, his movements slow and deliberate. The mom kept smoothing her daughter's hair, her hand moving in a repetitive, hypnotic loop. The kids were frozen mid-giggle, their faces stuck in silent laughter. It was unsettling. They weren't statues. Their clothes rustled slightly, but their actions were caught in a tiny, endless cycle. Feeling a prickle of unease, I walked towards the convenience store. Through the large glass window, I could see the clerk. He was a lanky man in a grease-stained uniform, standing perfectly still behind the counter, his eyes fixed on something beyond the walls. He didn't blink, not once. I watched for a full minute. Nothing. My heart started to pound a little faster. This wasn't right. I turned back to the other customers. The man at the pickup truck was wiping his windshield. He'd wipe the same spot, left to right, then his arm would reset, and he'd do it again. Left, door, right. Over and over. His expression was vacant, a placid, empty stare. They weren't alive. Not really, but they weren't ghosts either. Ghosts are transparent, ethereal. These people were solid, te werahusts. Stuck in a single moment, a single action, replayed for eternity. The realization hit me like a physical blow. This place, this gas station, it was a trap. My gaze fell to the gas pump. The nozzle hung there, on invitation. The display glowed with zeros, waiting. The name of the station, Next Stop, suddenly took on a sinister meaning. Was this the next stop? The asterisk? Final asterisk stop, my mind. But I said, every person here was caught in a loop. What did they all have in common? They were all interacting with the station. The family was planning their route. The man was cleaning his truck, and I could see others inside the store, perpetually browsing the same dusty shelves. They were all engaged in the act of being a customer. And what's the primary purpose of a gas station? To get gas? Maybe that was the key. Maybe the fuel was the hook. Fill your tank, and you become part of the collection. You get your next stop, and you stay there forever. My car was on empty. The temptation to just fill it up and get the hell out of there was overwhelming. It was the logical thing to do. The only asterisk thing to do. But a cold, deep dread told me otherwise. I backed away from the pump, my hand going to my pocket for my useless phone. The clerk inside the store hadn't moved, but I felt his gaze on me. It was an impossible feeling, but it was there. A heavy, pressing weight. He knew. He knew I was figuring it out. The family by the station wagon continued their silent, looped drama. The dad's finger traced the same imaginary road. The mom smoothed the same strand of hair. They were trapped, because they were trying to continue their journey. They needed a map. They needed gas. The man with the truck, he was maintaining his vehicle for the road ahead. They all accepted the premise of the station. But what if I refused? What if I broke the script? I made a decision. I walked past my car, past the humming pump, and started walking down the dark, empty ribbon of Route 66, away from the eerie glow of the next stop station. Every instinct screamed at me to get in my car, to take the easy way out, to fill the tank. It would be so simple, just a few gallons and I could be on my way. But on my way to where? To an eternity of checking my tire pressure. The air grew colder as I moved away from the station's light. The hum of the neon sign faded behind me. I risked a look back. From a distance, it looked almost peaceful. A tiny island of light in a sea of black. The figures were still there, locked in their endless, silent plays. The clerk remained a statue behind the glass. I kept walking, my heart hammered against my ribs with every step. Was this the right choice? Primera is on foot in the middle of nowhere, with no phone and no supplies. The alternative was a full tank of gas and a comfortable driver's seat, but it was a comfort that came at too high a price. The station was just a small speck of light behind me now. I thought about what it must feed on. Hope, desperation, the simple, mundane desire to keep moving forward. It offered a solution, an easy fix for a desperate problem. But the solution was the trap itself. I walked for what felt like hours. The darkness was total, the silence profound, just the sound of my own breathing and the scuff of my shoes on the asphalt. I was tired, I was scared, and I was starting to think I'd made a terrible mistake. Maybe I should have just taken the gas. Then, I saw it. Faint at first, then growing stronger. Headlights. A pair of them, cutting through the darkness, coming towards me. A wave of relief, so powerful it almost buckled my knees. Was it over me? It was a semi-truck, its engine rumbling like distant thunder. As it got closer, the driver saw me and slowed down. Air brakes hissing, the cab light flicked on, illuminating the concerned face of a man with a graying beard. He rolled down his window. "You all right there? Friend, you're a long way from anything," he just nodded, unable to speak. "My car. It broke down back there." I pointed vaguely into the darkness. "I didn't say where. I couldn't." "Well, hop in," he said, pushing the passenger door open. "Nearest town's about 30 miles up. Can't leave you out here." As I climbed into the warm, safe cab, I glanced back one last time. There was nothing, just miles of empty, black road. No buzzing neon, no peeling paint, no ghostly figures trapped in time. The next stop gas station was gone, as if it had never been there at all. It had offered me a choice: fill the tank and stay forever, or refuse and take my chances in the dark. Sometimes, the only way to get to your real next stop is to have the courage to walk away from the easy answer, even if it means stepping into the unknown. Thanks for watching.